You're always going to suck at the thing that's worth getting better at. You can use the same things that you use to hype yourself up before a game or a competition to help you start shifting your mindset. Hey athletes, welcome back to another video. My name's Tavin, and today we're going to be talking about one way that we can start exposing self-limiting beliefs that we have, and more importantly, how to start dealing with them in our athletic career and how that's going to help our performance overall. So let's dig into it. When you start training, along the lines, you've probably heard muscle memory, and you drill and drill and drill to put new skills into your muscle memory. So that way, when it comes down to crunch time, you don't have to think about it. You can just go. And the art of not thinking about something takes a long time because it's one of those things that you have to think about when you start. You have to think about what your body is doing in time and space. You have to think about where it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to be doing. And then once you've practiced thinking about it enough, once you've drilled it to a point where it becomes more instinctive, then you can not think about it and not have to think about the process of doing those skills in the first place. And so it's going to be a very similar process when it comes to identifying these self-limiting beliefs that we have. When we start mental training, there's some correlations between that and the physical training that we do, because you're going to have to practice these things and you're going to have to be aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, and then it'll come to a point where you've done it so much that you don't have to think about it as much, and it'll become more natural. It'll become more instinctive for you to have these more positive outlooks that we're driving for and that we're looking for here. But when you start, there's going to be a lot of moments where you have to start paying attention, right? And one of the things that you need to pay attention to are the voices inside of your head. Now, you might have heard or even experienced two sides of your brain. There's the real you, and then there's the false you. And the false you can go by many names. RuPaul calls it your inner saboteur. I've heard people call it their demons. It's all of the voices in your head that start talking crap and make you feel like you can't do the thing that you want to do. And the way that you communicate with yourself is always going to feed one of those two voices. And so the purpose of today's video is to start having you be aware of which voice you're feeding and what thoughts you're using to feed those voices. So, when we start thinking about the way we talk to ourselves, I want you to pay attention to the phrase, I am, because it's going to be a very powerful statement, and it's going to be a double-edged sword, because it's either going to exacerbate some of the self-limiting beliefs that you already have, or it's going to affirm some of the positive traits that you want to develop. I am affirmations are a very powerful tool for you to use. And if they're saying the things that you want to develop, then yeah, they're going to be a super awesome tool for you. But you have to start paying attention to when you say I am as well. Because if you're relying on these external factors all the time, it'll help, sure. But you have to start paying attention to what your own mind is saying about yourself. So if you're hearing yourself say, I am not good at something, or I am worthless, I am pathetic, I am not good enough, whatever the negative describer is going to feed that false self, the one that's talking crap. And so you gotta start paying attention to what follows I am. Because if you're using beneficial things like, I'm really good at this, I'm a strong, capable person, I am the master of my environment, whatever you want to fill in the blank with, the way you talk to yourself is going to change the perspective that you have on the world around you. It's going to shape which voice in your head is more dominant and the one that's more present in your life. And so when we start digging into these I am statements, pay attention. And if you're saying negative things, I've got a couple ways that you can to start combating those and turning them into more positive ones. In the beginning, when you first started training for whatever you competed, there were probably moments where you sucked. And that's natural. You're always going to suck at the thing that's worth getting better at. And so when we start analyzing it through that lens, there's going to be moments where you start talking crap about yourself, where you think this is too hard, that you're never going to be able to get it. That's natural. But we can shape some of those negative beliefs into more positive ones by tweaking this sentence a little bit. So, way number one, if you say, I am not blank, add the word yet at the end. I am not good at this yet. Because that will start to imply that, yeah, you might be struggling with it now, but it's not going to be forever. You'll get better over time. You just have to stick with it. And that'll start shifting your perspective into, yeah, I might be struggling with this now, but I'm going to get good at it. I will get better at it over time because I'm dedicated and I want to put in the time to making this something that I'm better at. The other one is when you're using an adjective to describe yourself. Something like, I am not worthy. I am not capable. I am not good enough. Whatever that adjective is, we're going to tweak the sentence a little bit more here. And instead of saying, I am not negative adjective, whatever it is, shape your mindset around thinking, I am currently struggling with feeling blank. I am currently struggling with feeling unworthy. I am currently struggling with feeling like I am not good enough. Again, it places a time frame on that self-limiting belief. It helps your mind understand that this might be where you're at now, but it's not where you're going to be forever. It's a more defined period of time because you're putting the qualifier of this is something I'm struggling with right now. And it's not going to be something that you're going to struggle with forever. Let's start diving into some of the ways that we can do that, right? Because self-limiting beliefs are really, really tough. They're the downfall of a lot of people. And it makes me sad to see that people are fighting battles in their head every day and that some people are losing. So let's work on fixing that. Let's work on some tools that we can use to help improve the way we think about it. Reshaping those sentences, again, puts a time frame on how we are feeling. And it kind of indicates to our brain that it's not something that we're going to feel forever. So, whatever self-limiting belief you have, you're going to start tackling that through a couple of different ways. Now, when you start getting ready for game day, whatever that means for you, whether it's a meet, whether it's a competition, whatever you are getting ready to perform at your max level for, what do? You probably take some time to get in the zone, right? You'll listen to some music, maybe you do some visualizations, maybe you just hype yourself up or have other people hype you up around you. We're going to take that same concept and apply it to defeating these mental barriers and defeating these self-limiting beliefs, right? First thing I want you to do is start paying attention to the ways that you are feeling and the things that you're saying, because we're not going to be able to change the things that we're not aware of. So when you start becoming aware of the things that you're saying, I really want you to hyper-focus on some of the things, especially that key phrase, I am. Because oftentimes that I am will either help or hurt those beliefs that you have about yourself. So that's the first part, is just starting to become really aware of what you're saying. It's just like when you're doing weight training and you're developing that mind-body connection and understanding how that muscle is contracting. It's the same way. When we start paying attention to how our brain is communicating with itself, you're developing that better connection to yourself, and it's going to help you be able to identify where you're coming from a little bit faster. So start paying attention at least to that key phrase, I am, because that's going to be a good jumping off point, because that's really going to be the kicker for how you identify yourself. second part, start tweaking those sentences to become more of a time period than a permanent state of being. Once you do that, it helps you understand that this is not going to be something that you're stuck in forever. It's only one moment in time. Now, when you're in the midst of having self-limiting beliefs or feeling like you are really beating yourself up, take a moment and use some of those same tools that you do when you go to compete. Listen to some music that's going to help you pull out of that place and make you feel like you are strong and capable, because you are. Second thing is start doing some visualizations. When you sit down and visualize the person that you want to be, go into a lot of detail. Think about the things that you want to wear. Think about how you want to present yourself to the world. Think about the things that you want to say and how you want people to receive you. And I want you to imagine that very best version of yourself. And when you do that, I want you to start thinking of some adjectives that describe that person. Describe the person that you want to be. And then once you have those adjectives, whatever they are for you, you can turn them into I am statements. But it starts by getting deep and very clear on the person that you want to be. And you might hear people say like, oh, I never change. That's not true. Look at yourself. Look at what you've done. Look at where you are now, and take that same growth and put it towards the future. Or if you haven't experienced as much growth, think about the person that you want to become, and then reverse engineer the process to figure out what you need to do to get there. Just like when you start training physically and you're turning your skills into muscle memory, things that you don't have to think about, the more that you do these exercises, the more it's going to help you get to the place that you want to be mentally. And it's going to help you defy those self-limiting beliefs, because those self-limiting beliefs are going to impact your performance in whatever you're trying to do in life, whether that's personal, professional, or for athletics. It's going to affect the way that you view yourself. You have to start being aware of the things that you're saying. That's step number one, because if you're not aware of the problem, you're not going to be able to fix it. Number two, once you're aware of what you're saying, tweak it a little bit. You can tweak those sentences into becoming a more finite period of time by saying, yet and currently struggling with are the things that are going to define those parameters and make them a little bit more temporary rather than this permanent ongoing thing. Once you've changed that time frame, you can use the same things that you use to hype yourself up before a game or a competition to help you start shifting your mindset. Things like visualization, understanding the person that you want to be and defining the adjectives that describe that person. Then turning those adjectives into I am statements that are going to help sharpen that sword and turn it into a positive trait for you. Things like listening to good music, something that really hypes you up, something that makes you feel like you're absolutely on fire, that you are conquering the world, that there's nothing that can stop you. And then once you have all of those pieces in place, repeat it. And that's where the hard part comes in. It takes time, it takes consistency. And there are even days where I still struggle with this. But because I have this framework, it allows me to start pulling myself out a little bit easier. And on the days when I am struggling with self-limiting beliefs, it allows me to kind of take a step back and view it through a different lens, and view it through a more temporary lens and not something that's a permanent characteristic for me. So I'm going to end it there. I hope that helped you guys out. If you liked this video, check out a couple more. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And as always, you get what you train for. See you in the next one.